All right, we will call this regular meeting of the Marion County Board of Supervisors to order. Roll call, Mr. Grandia.
Keisha Johnner,
Here.
Mark Ramey,
Here?
Steve McCombs. Here.
Very good. I would entertain a motion on this morning's agenda.
Make motion to approve today's agenda.
Second. McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
Very good. Any communications received? Jake, I saw you have something in our packet.
Yeah, so just as a heads up, ISAC has sent out a letter, I think, to all counties regarding potential project funding request for soil compaction for
Dakota access pipeline.
pipeline. So it's just a request that's going out to all counties. So I didn't wanted you to know that you'd received that. And if you want it to be a future agenda item, just to
Okay.
let me know.
So, board, if you'd please review that and see if that's something you'd like added to a future Board of Supervisor meeting. And Tyler, have you seen this? Tyler, is this something that you would normally see? No? Okay,
I can forward it to Tyler.
maybe forward it to him just so he can take a look at it. I have no idea what it's related to right now, but.
I don't believe we are in any of the three proposed. I think there's maybe three proposed
Okay.
corridors, but they're asking all counties statewide to assist in like $600 funding or something like that
Yeah.
for a
We
study.
we
So-
can take a review of it, and then if it's something we need to act on, we can either up or down. If we
Yep.
don't need to act, we can just table it. Okay, thank you. Any other communications? Steve?
No.
Keisha?
No.
All right, and none for me. Very good. Public comments is the portion of our agenda. The public can speak on items not listed on this morning's agenda. The board cannot act on those items. They could be topics for future meetings. Are there any public comments on items not listed on this morning's agenda? Anything online? Anything in the room? Seeing none, we will move on. Would entertain a motion on this morning's consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. On to business, the first item is a discussion and action item, Timberview Urban Renewal Area. It's a 5-year extension of the current TIF in that area, Urban Renewal District in that area. Mike, anything you want to just give as a preface to this? And thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you, Chairman Ramey. And what we have this morning for the board's consideration is a proposed 5-year extension for a proposed urban renewal area for this. And this is the Timberview Urban Renewal Plan, what we have. And the whole ultimate purpose of this, once again, is to extend the life of the TIF district from 10 years to 15 years. It's very similar to other housing developments that we've done in Pella as well. And just a brief overview, when we talk about the Timberview development overall, we're talking about a proposed residential development that would contain 36 housing units for phase 1 of the urban renewal plan. And anytime we talk about urban renewal plans, and I'll be very brief this morning, we always want to make sure that we judge the need for the urban renewal plans. And as far as the needs are concerned, we just thought it would be a good point in how we really base the needs for new housing in Pella and in our community. It's really through two things. We take a look at the most recent housing assessment that we did, which was through Marion County. That particular housing assessment for the Pella market identified the need for additional 966 housing units through the year 2025. To date, since the housing assessment was first commissioned on there, we've approved plans for an additional 450 housing units in the city of Pella. So we're about 47% of the way there on that. And if we could go to the next slide, please. And probably one of the things that we judge the need for is according to industry standards on buildable lots and in your community. Generally, most industry experts recommend that you have anywhere from 3 to 5 years of supply of buildable lots on hand. And the reason for that, just a couple of things to keep in mind, is you never know when the economy will take off and all of a sudden you become in a crunch point or a pinch point for new housing within your community. The second thing to keep in mind is new residential housing developments. By the time you factor in the time it takes to do the engineering, go through the permitting process at the city government and actually build the infrastructure, it takes approximately 2 years to bring a new housing development online. So there's a significant amount of lead time to bring any new housing development online. Now in Pella, we currently have 123 buildable lots within our community. Typically, when the economy is slow on it, we issue right around 20 building permits a year. When things have been fast paced and the economy is good, we're somewhere right around 60 building permits per year. So based off the available building lots that we have in Pella, we believe the need is there for additional housing within our community. We also believe the Marion County Housing Assessment and the numbers that were forecast with there to meet housing demands through year 2025 also dictates and suggests that there is still a need for housing within the city of Pella. So let's go ahead, please, and we can talk just a little bit about the development location. Now, the proposed Timberview development is located just north of Hazel Street and Elm Street in the city of Pella. What you probably would know this location better by is it's just east of the Pella Golf and Country Club on there as well. So we have it highlighted up on your board there. The circled area is the Timberview location. Now let's take a look if we could go to the next slide. On the proposed plans, what you see up there is ultimately a 47-acre lot development. Now, if you look at everything up on the board, it contains 95 additional housing units. What we're focused on today, and as far as the urban renewal area, is the black highlighted area. And that is phase 1 of the development. That contains 36 additional homes on that. For those 36 additional homes, the developer is forecasting at full build out. We're looking at approximately $16.1 million in valuation. So once again, the urban renewal area, the extension that we're discussing today is just for phase 1 of the development, is the black highlighted area. So let's go ahead, please. Brief overview. I know the board is familiar with tax increment financing, but just to touch base, maybe for members of the audience and those watching from home, when we talk about tax increment financing, please keep in mind it's a long-term venture on this. And what it really involves is incremental valuation. That is what is being proposed as far as any type of economic development incentives. So it's based off new valuation that is being built by the developer. So in essence, it involves 3 general concepts. If you were to go out to the Timberview development today and that 47 acres, and for phase 1 that we're talking about is 21 acres, it is a cornfield right now. What we would do if the urban renewal plan is approved on this is we would freeze the valuations right now where they're at right now. So the property values would be frozen on that, and that's called the base value. The respective taxing entities will continue to receive property taxes from the base value, what you are today. Now, on a go-forward basis, when we talk about incremental valuation, that's what we're really concerned about when we talk about rebates back to the developers on this, is the incremental valuation. That is called the TIF, or the tax increment financing revenues. That generates or comprises about 84% of future property taxes. That is what's being proposed to be rebated back to the developer on this. Now, please keep in mind when we talk about new valuations, rebating back to the developer in TIF for housing developments, we could only use TIF to reimburse the developer for public infrastructure cost on that. So that's an important concept to keep in mind. Now, what we would also like to point out is with TIF, eventually everyone benefits from this. But one of the items to keep in mind is when you look at new housing developments and you talk about economic development incentives, you always want to make sure there's a need for it in your community. We believe there is a need for it. And you always got to look at what would happen, would the development happen anyway if you didn't award economic development incentives. The truth of the matter is the number one impediment to new greenfield housing developments is the cost of public infrastructure. In this particular development, the developer is proposing 36 lots. The public infrastructure costs that they'll have in extending Hazel Street and the 2 other streets associated with phase 1 of this development is $2.5 million. So that amounts to about $69,000 a lot before the economic development incentives. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about those incentives. As we stated, TIF could only be used to reimburse the developer and housing developments for public infrastructure costs. The public infrastructure cost for this development is $2.5 million. The reason we're asking for the 5-year extension on this housing development is we believe, according to our financial models, and the developer believes this as well, that the full 15 years is needed to recoup their investment for the public infrastructure cost. And I believe we have highlighted what is being proposed as far as the financial arrangement with the developer. So we started off with a total public infrastructure cost at $2.5 million. The city has negotiated to reimburse the developer for about 70% of the public infrastructure cost. So the total economic development incentives that would be rebated back to the development is about $1,750,000. So it's 70% of the public infrastructure cost that we have. We believe 15 years is necessary in order for the developer to recoup that $1,750,000. Hence the reason for the request this morning. So with that, Chairman Ramey, I'd be more than happy to answer the board's questions on anything that's being proposed this morning or with the Timberview development.
Very good. Mike, thank you for that overview. Steve, Keisha, any questions for Mike this morning? I'll start off, Mike. I really appreciate the overview on TIF. I think people sometimes get confused and they think that it is the total valuation is going back to the developer when it's the incremental increase that's going back to the developer. So the base values still are divided between the different taxing entities. So that's a very important distinction for people to understand. So any questions?
Yeah, that was, that was one of my questions. The base value is frozen. And so the taxes on the base value is always coming in. But when these lots get developed.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the difference that gets rebated back, but even with the new valuation, the county will still be able to recoup its debt service levy on the new valuation as well on that. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So what you're really looking at is just the operational levies that we get rebated back to the developer.
Right.
At the city of Pella, we always look at new housing developments. We think it's a long-term venture. And we always analyze it from the standpoint with the new TIF arrangements on there, the ability to continue with your existing staff, serve that additional development. We think from the city of Pella standpoint, looking at 36 potential housing units within the city of Pella, we don't believe that will necessitate a property tax increase for the city of Pella in serving this new housing development.
You can cover it under current operational
Yeah,
expenses.
because that's the only thing that's getting rebated back is the operating levies
Right.
on that.
Right. Right. Very good.
I got a question for you, Mike. I know that obviously you're presenting today. Have you presented yet to the school?
Yes, I did that last night.
Okay, did they approve?
Yes, they did.
Okay, all right, good to know. And then also, I know in the agreement, the LMI, is that something, when do you guys generally, is that when it's completed? Like after the 15 years, you look at the LMI dollars, or how does that work, if that makes sense?
That's a very good question, and not to overly complicate items, but if you recall, when we talked about the new housing developments, we're talking about rebating back the new valuation on there. The existing taxing entities will retain their debt service levy on the new valuation. So we're really left with about 84% of the total property tax levy. Now that 84%, we're going to be withholding right around 36% of that on top of it. And what we have to do under Iowa law, because this is non-low and moderate income housing, is we have to segregate those funds of the total award. So we're going to be withholding 36% of that into a fund that would benefit LMI. Now at the city of Pella, what we're discussing with our LMI funds as we go and as our funds accumulate on there, we have to use those funds to support low and moderate income housing within our community. So our plan is to address it as the funds are built up. But the truth is, with all these developments that we've done in the last 3 to 4 years, it's going to take a period of time before those valuations come online. And when we develop funds that you could actually administer a low and moderate income housing fund with it. But we're in the discussion phases of the council right now, conceptual phases on the LMI benefits from our housing developments. So that's a very good point. But, you know, and that's another good reason why the developer is asking for an additional 5 years, because they don't have full access to the incremental valuation. They only have access to about 66% of it because the city has to designate about a third to support low and moderate income housing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we pay attention to. We did with Prairie Ridge, but you could make the argument on one hand, it extends the duration of these types of agreements or inflates the cost.
Correct. That is an accurate assessment.
So, very good. Any other questions? Steve?
Nope.
Okay. Mike, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for the
Mike.
presentation. Mike is looking for action on this item. If there is a motion on this,
Yeah, I'll make motion to approve the Timberview Urban Renewal Agreement, the 5-year extension.
Second.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey.
aye, very good. Mike, thank you
Thank
for
you,
your
Mike.
time. Appreciate it. That. Next, we have resolution 2022 76, which is a county property disposition resolution. Jake, are you taking this one?
I'm not sure if Ross is on or not. This has been ongoing for quite some time. We had a public hearing quite some time ago. This is for a parcel down in Hamilton.
Yeah,
and an
Michaela-
individual
Michaela
that
presented
has-
on this.
Yep,
Yeah,
I think her name is Frost. Sent a request to you quite some time ago, been discussed a few times and there's been a public hearing on it. In essence, it's a vacant lot down in Hamilton. And she has some family that when she comes through, I think she would eventually like to put something on there that she can stay at when she comes down and comes through to see her family. The parcel is in the county's name and Ross has prepared a quitclaim deed. And if the resolution is approved to transfer this to her, I believe that she offered the assessed value at the time of $830.
Right.
And then it'll go back to being taxable.
okay.
I think
Board,
in
do you
our-
have any questions?
I think in our original conversation, we had the question of why it was in the county's name. I think we got that resolved. But,
Right.
yeah. Okay.
Ross, was Ross
I
on?
don't think he's on.
Ed was on, but I don't know if he knows.
Yep, I'm on, guys, if you can hear me.
Ed, anything you want to add to this, or it seems pretty straightforward based on the conversations we had previously with Michaela?
Yeah, in essence, our office just simply prepared the documents consistent with the wishes of Michaela and this board. So pretty simple, straight through process. Just need your folks' approval and we'll pass on the legal documents that need to be signed.
Okay, very good. Board, if there's no additional discussion or question, I would entertain a motion on this resolution.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2022 76.
A second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye,
Johnner.
Aye.
very good. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yes. Next, we have a special event application, Knoxville or the Thrive Knoxville Living Windows. Is there any, Tyler?
So I did not submit this special event application.
But you have
I
been
am not on
nominated to
the
speak on it,
Thrive
huh?
Living
Right.
Windows Committee even, but I am a Thrive board member, so I'm representing Thrive today.
Well, after that disclaimer, wow.
Thank you for coming.
So I believe you've all had a time or received a copy of the application. It's similar to past years with the Living Windows event. I do have a few things to highlight, some of which will be slightly different than prior years. So the event's Thursday, November 17th from 5 to 8 p.m. The theme is Christmas around the world. And if you don't know, Thrive partners with CAM, the Knoxville area merchants, to put on Living Windows. And Christmas around the world is focused on soldiers overseas. So donations will be accepted to send things overseas. Packages will be put together, I believe, by CAM for that. Tree lighting ceremony will be held on the courthouse grounds as similar to past years with Santa and Mrs. Claus arriving on the fire truck, and the Chamber of Commerce will be holding their snowball drop again from the bandstand. We're proposing a wreath auction in the courthouse rotunda that has been how that has been handled in similar past years, with the courthouse being open from 5 to 7 p.m. for that. The Christmas tree lighting will be different this year. In past years, you've seen a pole with string lighting. This year, the city of Knoxville and local businesses and Thrive pooled money to get a 24-foot artificial tree, pre-lit, pre-decorated, that the city of Knoxville will be erecting the week prior to Living Windows. So this 24-foot tree will be utilized from now on, with the string tree no longer.
Will it be in the same place then?
Same location.
Okay,
Yes,
all
and the city staff will be coordinating that with Chris.
Okay.
Also on the courthouse lawn, Friday, November 11th, Thrive and volunteers are proposing to start decorating the lawn. So in past years, trees have been decorated and some of the shrubbery and I believe the cannon. And so all the lighting has now been converted to LED. Some of it was damaged last year on the bandstand from the derecho or windstorm. So all the lighting will be new and upgraded this year.
Good.
Part of it was upgraded last year. So,
Good.
any other questions?
No, I see you've got the indemnity agreements and appropriate insurance coverages attached. So that's great. Steve, Keisha, any questions?
No, I have none.
All right. With that, I would entertain a motion on this special event application.
Motion to approve the Thrive Knoxville Living Windows.
Second?
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah. Appreciate the group doing that.
Drafted into service. Next, we have compensation board appointments. And I think, Keisha, you brought this up the other day or the last meeting
Yeah.
about supervisors having somebody on this board.
Yeah.
Did Steve, did you get a chance to think about this at all or?
Yes, I
What,
did.
what do you guys think?
Well, I'm okay. I think we should have representation.
Any ideas who?
Well,
Do you have a suggestion,
I-
Keisha?
Yeah, I did my, homework because I thought, if I'm the one that's bringing it up, I figured I at least should throw out some names and then hoping that you guys, if you want to throw out names too. I didn't realize when reading the code that we have two
Mhm.
spots, so that's something to think of. Thinking of representation, I did think of Bill Shepherd. Mr. Shepherd was a supervisor for 16 years. I think his term ended in the early 2000s. So he understands the process. I thought that that would possibly be a good representation. And then Lyle Vandermeiden, which is Midwest Sanitation. Him and his wife own Midwest Sanitation in Pella. He is also on Board of Adjustments, so he understands boards. He understands the community and obviously being a business owner, understands what one is facing, in the market today. And also I wanted to think of representation for both Knoxville area and Pella area. And the fact of, those are our two largest cities. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
those were my two. I am open to whoever. I have spoke with them, even if I said to them, if they would even be willing. And I said, this was not a definite, because obviously we have to discuss it. And they said they'd both be willing. So.
And so just so we understand and make sure we keep this in perspective, the representatives on the board are representing the interests of the different public officials that are part of this process. That does not preclude any of the electeds from attending this meeting. I attend the meetings or have attended them several over the last couple of years. So they're for the interests of the different electeds.
Yep.
One of the things we need to make clear about the compensation board from a political standpoint is that the ideas about how electeds get raises, we need to be out front of that discussion as a board this year in a different capacity than in past years.
I agree.
Correct.
Because we can't do what we did last year. We might as well put that out there now. But as far as representation goes, Keisha, I got no problem with those if they're willing to do it.
Yep.
You got that lined up, Steve?
Yeah, I have no problem. I think they're both good choices.
Yeah. So Jake, do we need to amend the slate then to include Bill and Lyle?
I would recommend that you just make those appointments at your next meeting,
Okay, we can do that.
or at least the consideration of.
So do you want to postpone all of the appointments or appoint these and then we'll add those to the next meeting?
I think.
I'm
these are
letting
the
you
only-
actually tell me what to do.
I
This
think-
is
I
this is
think-
unusual.
I think you guys have had conversation about your desire or intent to make appointments. Some choices have been thrown out. Doesn't mean you couldn't add some later, but I think we should make this a board agenda item. I don't know when they're meeting. And I think we have a meeting at the end of this October. And so that would be the next board meeting, these appointments, or if you come up with someone else that you need to add to the slate and then make the decision then. This compensation board doesn't usually meet until between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
So
I
we have
think,
time.
You have
Is
time.
what you're saying. All right. So with that, then we'll, Jake, if you wouldn't mind, let's amend these. Keisha, if you can get Jake the appropriate information.
Yep.
For these two individuals, and then we'll put this as an agenda item for our next meeting to look at the entire compensation board slate.
Yeah,
Um,
and if you guys by chance come up and think of somebody, I'm more than,
Mm.
willing to can discuss too.
No,
but
no,
we at
that's,
least have a couple
I
names,
appreciate you
so.
doing the work on it. Thank you.
Yep.
So with that, we'll entertain a motion to close discussion on this item.
Make motion to close discussion.
Second,
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
aye.
Ramey,
Aye, very good. All right, public health update. Is Kim online? Kim?
I am. Good morning. Okay. Well, October 1 has come and gone. So our WIC and maternal and child health and oral health contracts ended September 30th. First 5 ends December 31st, and we are writing the application for the next project period. So we'll have to see how that goes, but that decision date isn't until December 6th. We are working on cleaning the building out, kind of purging of all things no longer relevant to our department. And IDPH is coming tomorrow to get the records that they own and the oral health materials and equipment that the contract demands to be sent to the state. So we've got that all ready for them to come and pick up. Friday is the last day for remaining employees for maternal and child and oral health. WIC staff have pretty much moved on. We have a couple of employees in those programs that have been transferred into other programs inside of the health department where we hadn't, that we had things that we still need to get done that are actually funded. So those folks will just move over in a lateral move. We have a couple of employees yet who have not yet found their soft landing. So we're hoping that they will find something, that suits them. I just want to especially thank all of our staff and especially those who were displaced by the changes that came our way. They're excellent employees and they've had a long and strong career here at Marion County Public Health, and they've done a lot of good for a lot of families and children here in Marion County. So I just want to thank them and wish them well. And we are kind of reorganizing ourselves, and our focus will be more things like we will focus much more on emergency preparedness and response. We will be doing more population health type things. So we're going to look really different. So we're just moving along.
Kim, thank you. And just to, again, I'm going to give just a thumbnail sketch on background here for those who aren't aware of what's going on, but this is as a result of the state of Iowa terminating several of our key public health relationships. It was a bidding year, and the programs that we had were of limited duration, and those programs were awarded to another entity not in Marion County. And that has precipitated a drawdown in public health in terms of our staff because those positions were funded directly by those programs. So Kim has been working on that process. I think we also, as a board, thank all of our public health employees who have served the residents of Marion County and more broadly, many of the counties in South Central Iowa. They've done outstanding work over the years. So Kim, I appreciate what you're doing. Steve, Keisha, anything you would like to add?
Yeah, I do too, Kim. Thank you very much for working through this. I know it's been very difficult. And I do appreciate everything that you have done in the past and your staff. It's unfortunate that we're in this position because I think we were doing very well for Marion County and surrounding counties.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I would say what Steve and Mark have both said. I would ask how, I mean, what is your staff numbers currently then as of like the end of May? What are you looking at? You know.
Oh, God, you know, I haven't actually counted. Let's see, just a second. I can't do a quick count here. We'll have, 1, 2, 3, 6. We will still have about 15 to 17 people on staff. And those will, like I said, those are in funded positions through preparedness. And, you know, some of those positions are also temporary positions that will be that are with us until a year from June. So we will either, depending on what happens with that, we will either adjust at the time, or other funding will need to come through for those too. So it's just kind of the nature of public health when you work with grants. We've not had, you know, as far as this transition with WIC and maternal and child health, that, you know, part of that was the redistricting of the programs. But I don't expect redistricting for preparedness, but of course we see a lot of things we don't expect. But there are several of these positions that are temporary based on temporary COVID money. So when that changes, you know, and folks that are hired under that know that that is temporary money. So
more change to come.
that's right. And I think that that's just going to be, that is just the nature of public health at this point, where, you know, depending on what needs done at the time and what is funded is what you do.
So one of the things that I was going to save this for my update, but I'll add it here. We talked a little bit in the last meeting about the building, and not to, it sounds almost, you know, like we're taking advantage of a bad situation. But as a board, we will have to think about the use of a pretty substantial Marion County property that will be probably over half empty. To that end, I asked Chris and Kim, not Steve, Chris and Kim to get together and come up with a proposal that we'll present at the next meeting. So between now and the next meeting, I would encourage the supervisors to get with Chris and Kim and go over that potential proposal. I think it's a good one. We've invested probably upwards of $500,000 in updates. Steve, am I close?
Yeah, probably pretty close. I think we've had this discussion,
Yeah.
but
So they have something they put together. I think it's a great idea. But anyway, I would like you to, between now and the next meeting, to, if you've got time, to get with them to discuss that. We'll put that on the agenda for our next meeting, Jake, to be a formal proposal, because it kind of takes into account that property, the building we're currently sitting in, and the annex building. And some potential things that we might be able to do, either to dispose of properties and directionally where we want to go, or how do we want to realign current staff within our existing structures. So anyway, take some time and get with them, and then the next meeting we'll do that formally. All right, Kim, anything else?
Nope, I think that's enough for one day.
Kim, this might be a broad question, but the services that we've lost, do they have anything tied down as to what were like a satellite areas that these services will be taken care of for Marion County residents?
Well, the communication from American Home Finding has been a little bit, not much, but from what I understand, the month of October, services are being held at the extension office. And then starting November, they will be at the Raceway Mall. And they had in their proposal, they said that they would be in Knoxville twice a week and Pella twice a month. So I'm expecting that that's what they'll do. I have not heard anything, different. So I'm assuming what they put in their application is what they will be doing. So they are supposed to be reaching out to all of the current participants and making appointments and such. So
Are the citizens that were being served with some of these services, how will they know where they're supposed to go? Are they expecting you to tell these people, or?
well, we did send out letters to all WIC participants for where they would go. And there was plenty of money in the grant to do that. And we have been doing, we've changed it on our website, things like that. But the programs that are the new programs are expected to reach out to all the participants and, make their arrangements with them directly. And so they have access to the records. So because the records, of course, are computerized and the state owns those records. So they have moved those, like Marion County's people's records over to American Home Finding. So American Home Finding should be able to see exactly who's been receiving services, what services have been received, what the people's needs are, and they should be able to respond based on what's in those records.
Okay, thank you, Kim. And again, thank you for everything you've done.
You bet.
Thanks, Kim.
Very good. With that, I'm going to entertain a motion to close discussion.
I make a motion, we close discussion.
Second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Next, we've got a series of resolutions, 3, that are all interrelated. Tyler, I think this is you. So we'll lead off with the first one, 2022-77, which is an approval of ARPA fund disbursement. So Tyler, maybe just a little background on why the resolution. I know this is all related to Junction 92 and our proposal or discussion from last meeting.
Yeah, so the discussion from last meeting resulted in pursuing the kind of the cash heavy option of funding the Junction 92 full build site development. So that was approximately 59% of the 8.5 million being funded via cash. 80% of that 59% is discretionary funds from the Board of Supervisors, being from ARPA, local option sales tax, and the general fund, which are the 3 resolutions presented today, with the remaining cash being from the secondary road fund. Basically our budget, our road department budget. So the first resolution here would be a disbursement of ARPA funds in the amount of 1.5 million, which during the discussion at the last board meeting, Chris stated that 250,000 that was kind of line item for this site was not needed. So there was 1.25 million there, with the remaining 250,000 coming from the unobligated funds on the balance sheet for the proposed ARPA projects.
Okay, very good, Jake. And that conforms with what you and Michaela have from an accounting standpoint.
Yeah, the updated listing of is there, and yes, as far as we know, it's still not over. The commitments are not more than what we're supposed to receive.
Okay, very good. So the first action regarding the proposal for Junction 92 and the option that we agreed to on our last meeting is to approve disbursement of those funds for this specific purpose. And that's what this resolution relates to.
Correct.
Okay. Discussion?
Nope.
Keisha?
No, other than, well, I shouldn't say no. Yes, I do have a question. Just wanting to know when reading it. It has the first tranche in there, but why doesn't it have the second, I guess?
Are we talking about the resolution?
Yeah,
The
the
second,
resolution.
second whereas
Um,
talks about the 3.2, but
it's-
not the rest.
Just because it was probably a template from the first round before we'd actually received the second tranche.
Okay.
That's exactly
So,
why.
And
so
we
you
have
you
received
are
the second
confirming,
tranche.
Jake, we
I am
have the
confirming.
second
Second,
tranche.
Yes.
I think what Keisha's asking you
Yeah.
is, do we have all the money?
Yeah.
Do we
I
have-
wanna-
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, that was an
Yeah.
oversight on
Good
my part,
question.
putting the resolution together.
And yes, that will be confirmed, when we complete month end, and we can look in that fund balance to see that it was there. So,
Okay, Very
yes.
good. Keisha, do you want an amendment to this, or are
I
you
don't
good with
know.
that? with
Yeah,
that explanation?
I guess we could amend it to the 6 point,
Whatever the total.
yeah,
is.
the total is, yeah. Do we
Jake,
amend that,
Jake-
Jake? I would feel a little bit better
Okay.
about having an amendment on.
We'll do it.
So I'm willing to make the motion, resolution 2022-77 with amendment of our
include the total amount.
total amount of ARPA funds.
Very good. Steve?
Second.
Good. Motion and support for resolution 2022-77 as amended. Jake? He's writing all that down. I'm sorry. Going too fast for you.
That's. Ramey,
Aye?
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Very good.
Michaela did confirm via chat that that has been received. The
All right,
second.
very good. Tell Michaela, thank you via chat. All right, whatever that is. Tell me, I don't know what that is. Resolution 2022-78, which is the approval of lost funds for same development. So again, keeping with our cash heavy option, Tyler, this is the way we can draw some of that cash from these other sources to this project. Fair?
Correct. And as stated in the resolution, the current and future ballot language of local option sales tax kind of project fund allows for this type
Yeah.
of expenditure.
So a question came, I'm just going to interject something here for a minute,
Sure.
Tyler, and I can't remember which one of you asked this or made this statement. Because the question was, why did I support the cash heavy option? And so I don't think I answered it in the last meeting, but I want to make sure it's on the record. I would actually support an even higher cash option if it was available. And the reason is because of the current economic environment, the dollar is so strong. And in fact, pricing is actually declining. So when you look at disinflation, what's going on in the economy right now, and you look at where the dollar is, we will get a better bang for our buck leveraging current dollars for the project than delaying that through maximum bonding. So that's why I went with that option. If more cash was available, I'd go with more cash because it's better for the taxpayer in the long run. So anyway, I wanted to make sure that was on the record. So any discussion on the lost allocation portion of this?
So in your agenda item, I noted that the current cash balance as of the end of August was 1.8 million less the upcoming
300,000.
LEC payment. And the projected fund balance for the end of this fiscal year for Fund 29 or local option sales tax would be 2.1 million.
Very good. Jake,
Yeah.
that conforms with all your accounting?
Yeah, we,
Yeah.
we hit on this pretty hard the last meeting.
Oh, that's good.
And these funds, like the ARPA funds and this local option sales tax funds, I mean, they don't get spent unless you authorize it. And so it will just sit, it just stays until.
Right.
I mean, we're not exactly sure once the project starts, which gets used first or how, the details of those payments. But in theory, that this is committed dollars then
Yeah.
for that project is what I'm understanding.
That is correct. That is correct, Jake. All right, is there a motion on 2022-78?
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2022-78.
I'll second.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey.
Aye. Thank you. 2022-79 is general fund, overall general fund for Junction 92. So it's the use of general fund cash totaling $1 million for this project. Current fund balance, $5,104,198.06 to the penny, Jake. So
And so the anticipated year-end fund balance for Junction 92, or excuse me, for the general fund at the end of this fiscal year would support this type of disbursement as well. However, this includes the cash flow of the sale of our existing facilities as well for Pella and the clay shop.
Okay.
As presented last
Yeah.
week.
Yep.
To pass through on to,
Yep,
Yes.
yeah, yep.
correct. Very good. Discussion?
I would just make a note then because of this, when the next round of budgeting comes, because I don't think Tyler will be using this money before the end of 23, will you? I mean, with
Doubtful.
the other thing, so
We'd have to
we
do
can
it.
include a budget line item for
Right.
that, and when you just put in a brand new $1 million, we'll have to budget for the whole project in each individual fund. So that will make, expenses look whatever the number,
Higher,
$5 million
yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
and also higher may or may not be all get used in that, but just in the upcoming budget, those will be included, which will make the total expense look higher. We just have to always remember these projects, are within that to make the total expenses higher than what it would be.
Right, right. Very
And it
good.
may take a couple of years worth of budgeting. It's always hard to know when it's going to be used. So then it's higher numbers in like 2 years. So you just have to have that flexibility and room depending on the timeline of the project.
So after our last board meeting, we did have a discussion with our architect, and if we were to do as proposed, late winter or spring bid letting, he anticipates construction starting around June or July of 23 and a possible move-in date of May or June of 24, calendar year 24. So it's likely that the
Maybe just 1
expenses
year.
could mostly be incurred within FY 24.
24,
Yep.
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I know in our discussions on this particular line item, it was what we felt comfortable as a fund balance after
Yeah.
the $1 million. What and the remaining funds are coming out of the secondary road fund, which you're comfortable with, correct?
The remaining cash
Yeah, the remaining cash.
would come out of the secondary road fund to the effect of $1 million would get us to $5 million of cash.
Yeah.
Towards the project, yes.
Which is quite doable.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's good. All right, is there a motion on 2022-79?
Motion to approve resolution 2022-79.
Second,
McCombs,
aye.
Ramey,
Aye,
Johnner.
Aye.
Very
Aye,
good.
and thank you, Tyler, for all your work on this. I know this has been a very long project.
Yes. Thank you all very much.
yep, thanks,
you, Tyler.
Tyler. Very good. Updates? Steve?
I have none.
Just other than discussion about the meeting on Friday at Lely, the legislative, if we want to make that a formal meeting.
What do we have coming up, Carla? Sorry. We need one of those boom mics.
It is the Connect meeting on Friday. We will be focusing on legislative issues. So we have invited all the candidates and current legislators that serve parts of Marion County to come in and join us, as well as some of our industry to provide their perspectives on issues that they're facing. So Lely has been gracious to provide their facilities. I know over the last couple of years, we've tried to move this one around so people could also see some of our different employers. So we had it at Vermeer and then we had it at Weiler. Now this year it's at Lely because they have a new facility. So
Good.
that's for, folks interested and involved at the county government level, city government level, utilities, people who serve on economic development boards, anyone interested in the whole area of economic development issues. The discussion will be primarily focused on business and economic development issues. We won't be getting into other issues, so.
Yeah, I think that, Jake, that would be appropriate to make that a formal,
A formal
Meeting.
meeting?
Yeah.
So.
because I would imagine
Zoom.
it,
Is
at
there a
least.
Zoom option at all?
What?
Do you know if there's a Zoom option?
wait,
at all?
wait.
No, we have not set up for any electronics.
The reason would be
Mhm.
that chances are more than one of us is going to want to be there.
Yeah, so do you want to do it like we did the one at Weiler or wherever it was the other day, that
Yes.
just letting people know there may be a quorum available, but
Yes.
it's not, okay. I can.
Yeah, because there's limited facilities
I don't
think
think
location.
I think some kind of notice.
Because there won't be formal county action.
No.
taken.
No, this is listening,
sorry.
but to let people know.
Are you
Yeah,
going
I-
as a candidate or as a?
Well, that's the question
Yeah.
which we're looking at is, since it is a Marion County function, it's, but it's put on by, at Lely.
Yeah.
So it's Carla's
Mhm.
at Lely. I just want to make sure that you're good
We'll
with
put out
that.
the quorum.
Yep.
the
Okay, possible quorum.
notice.
Okay,
Yep.
that's
Yep,
fine. Yep.
that's what we should do. That way we won't interrupt the meeting with.
Yeah, and I would just let
Opens and
everyone know the
closes.
agenda for the meeting is online under our department. So if folks want to look about the meeting agenda, it is online on the county
Good,
website.
good. Thank you, Carla.
And you're gonna send me that so I can put the time. Thank you.
Perfect.
So I
Usually
have-
anything else? Okay, nothing for me. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make motion we adjourn.
Second.
McCombs? Aye. Ramey?
Aye.
Johnner?
Aye.
We are adjourned.